Somewhere beyond the recesses of time and space, two podcasters are set adrift in a machine, picking up transmissions of movies that are forgotten but not gone.
Welcome to Movie Memory Machine, the only podcast about forgotten movies that hopes you have what it takes to survive this episode. I am your host, Landon Solano, joined always and annoying always my co-host, Truman Caps. Truman, it's good to see you.
Landon, it is holly jolly to be seen. Are you now? I kind of feel like I'm getting a worse deal than the family in this movie because, you know, you're being annoying, but you're not paying me anything for it. I'm sitting here, In
fact, I'm taking your money week after week when you have to rent these movies.
Yes, exactly. Well, you're taking my American Express points, which are almost as good as cash, or so my friends at American Express tell me. I don't know. I'm wondering, like, what value do you put on the experience of having a podcast and a podcast co-host? Like, how big of a check would you write to simulate the experience that you're having right now?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to add a little context to that. I'm going to paint the scenario out for me a little bit more so that I can more believably enter into it.
Okay,
Let's
we want
say,
that.
Heaven forbid, something ever happened to you, and 10 years down the line, I thought, oh, you know what? Every Wednesday, he used to call me, and I no longer have that anymore. But I have all these millions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
What is it worth to hire someone to call me every Wednesday so that we could record an episode about a movie that people have rightly forgotten about? Well, if I got that kind of money and it means something to me, I guess there is no price I would put on it.
Well, and I guess, but also hearing you, like, really just describe out loud the nature of what this is, I'm realizing that's pretty feasible, I think, on even a middle-class salary to pay someone probably a couple hours a week to talk to you.
It's called making a friend.
Well, and I've been told that friends are priceless. Yeah, so
you can't make a family like Ben Affleck is trying to do in this. You can make a friend, though.
You can absolutely make a family. It's called having a bunch of kids. That's where families come from, Landon.
Wait,
it's not like there's a finite
hold
number
on.
Of families that were created by God, and we're all just working our way downward from those.
You could just do that? It's not divinely preset who gets to have a family?
Well, I mean, I would say that certain faiths would say that everything that happens has been divinely preset. But yeah, you know, you can do it with the tools you've got at home. Try it.
Idea.
It's very expensive. Not that I would know. Well, anyway.
Anyway,
what were we talking about? My time is almost up here. Are you going to pay me for another hour or what?
We're talking about the movie Surviving Christmas this week. And I want to ask you just real quick to kind of set the seasonal tone.
Sure.
We have done a lot of Christmas movies in our podcasting history. Our previous show had so many Christmas movies.
Actually, I know what. Okay, so I'm thinking 4 now. I'm remembering I'll Be Home for Christmas 5. Okay, so 6. Okay, so I'm
all three. Sorry. You go ahead and try and guess what we covered.
Okay, so on our previous show, which, spoiler alert, was about the films and TV shows of Tim Allen, we did the Santa's Claus, so all three Santa Claus movies.
That's right.
We did I'll Be Home for Christmas, starring
That's
Jonathan
correct.
Taylor Thomas, which...
Yes, we did.
I'm still... Boy, I think that might be the best one of the bunch, by the way, as we go along.
Christmas movies?
Of the Christmas movies that we did? Yeah, I think.
Okay, all right.
Well, Tim Allen wasn't in it, so that's
there was one you got obsessed with.
Oh, and I'm going to talk about... Okay, so then we also did Christmas with the Cranks, starring Tim Allen and Dan the Croyd Aykroyd, and going to put a red and green pin in that one, because we're going to be talking about Cranks a lot today. We did... My personal favorite Christmas movie we covered, A Dog for Christmas, starring Richard Karn as the narrator Santa Claus.
That makes 6.
that makes 6, and then today we do Surviving Christmas.
I guess what I'm saying is we have we're not coming at Christmas movies without experience today.
We know from Christmas movie. Well, we know from a narrow kind of swath of Christmas movies that feature actors from Home Improvement on them, which is a weird way to come at the genre.
And weird that there's 6 of them.
Yeah.
But that's what I was going to ask you, is like to try to expand that a bit, without the parameters of having a Home Improvement star in your Christmas movie. Do you enjoy holiday films? Because I know it's well documented on all of our podcasts how much you hate Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
What's an example of a good one? Like, do you like them? What's a good one? And how do you generally feel about them?
I do like Christmas movies quite a lot because my family's entire Christmas tradition revolves around just watching a whole bunch of Christmas movies, and always has been. So so I do like Christmas movies quite a lot. I like them because they're a genre of movie that I can kind of grade on a curve for, like, well, even if this movie has certain shortcomings, I have a lot of fond memories of watching this with my mom and dad basically every year growing up. So I think that the movie Scrooged, starring Bill Murray, is, objectively probably not a great movie, but I have so much kind of warmth and nostalgia for seeing it on TV, watching it with my parents, the fairy godmother hitting Bill Murray in the face going, "It's a toaster!" My parents and I yelled at each other all the time. Yeah, Carol Kane, yes. Also, an exciting discovery I made recently about the movie Scrooged. There's the flashback to the kids' TV show that Bill Murray's character is hosting in like the 70s, and he's playing this dog in a dog suit, and he's got a mailman sidekick. The mailman is played by Roy Brocksmith, which is my way of saying I'm definitely watching Scrooged this year. There's a Finnish movie called Rare Exports that my parents got really into that we've watched.
That one.
Last year, we watched a movie called The Silent Partner with Elliot Gould and an early John Candy performance, which is like a kind of like murdery thriller set at Christmas in Canada. So I don't know that that's necessarily a Christmas classic. I like a Christmas movie. I think a good Christmas movie is one that hits just kind of the fun and friendly vibe of spending the holiday with your parents or with your family.
Tingly, nostalgic feels.
Yeah. Now, I know you're not as up on the Christmas holiday as I am. No. So, how is it for you with Christmas movies? Is there anything that ignites some kind of Yuletide spark in your heart?
I should probably give it an earnest shot again because, ironically, the only one that I kind of like is Ernest Saves Christmas. No, I
so glad. I'm so one of us was gonna make that joke. You saw the glint in my eye.
I did, and it's not true, but I had to make the joke before you did.
That's what Christmas is all about.
I don't have that vibe in me. I don't. I actively avoid Christmas music and Christmas movies. I do have one annual concession I make, which is on Christmas Eve, I wrap presents and fall asleep to White Christmas. Oh. That is about as far as I go.
What is it about White Christmas?
Snow, snow, snow.
You love harmonies. That's why I like the Beach Boys. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you because I think the answer that's true is kind of contrary to my whole thing, which is it's partly tradition at this point. I've been doing it every single Christmas for 15 years. It's easy, it's not something, it doesn't connect me to my childhood. It's something I started doing. It isn't nostalgic for me, but it's still sweet. Yeah. So it's not complicated, and I realize this is stuff I should probably bring up in therapy. But I don't think you necessarily need to bring up in therapy the fact that it's fun and comforting to watch a thing that doesn't demand too much of you and puts you in a headspace that reminds you of a happier time. That's what media is for in a lot of cases.
Well, it doesn't though. It doesn't do that for me. That's precisely what I try to avoid. Is like I don't want to watch Home Alone or all of the ooey gooey movies that make me think of my childhood, and that's the part that I need to bring up in therapy.
Okay, well, there you go. Or you could just go back to your family home and impose yourself upon the people who live there now.
Okay, and we're gonna put a pin in that as well to talk about.
Like the plot of the movie, we're gonna put a pin in talking about the actual content of the film. Okay.
Well, and my personal thought on that. All of that to say, like, I am much more apt to watch Christmas Evil on Christmas than I am, Home Alone or Miracle on 34th Street or any of those.
Oh, okay, I gotta say, I watched Miracle on 34th Street for the first time, like, a few years ago, like a few Christmases ago. My parents and I were like, oh, let's mix it up with our Christmas movies. And we were all blown away, like, genuinely delighted at how good that movie was, how funny and light it was. The original one, yeah.
Yes.
This is not me trying to dunk on you right when you've said you don't like the movie. I'm basically just saying for listeners, for a movie made so long ago, it feels really relevant and current in the way that it's written and the pacing of it. And
just for the record, I didn't say I didn't like it. I think it's a great film. I was also somewhat referring to the sequel, or not the sequel, the remake that I saw with Richard Attenborough. Well, many. I think I saw that in the theater, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
God, we have spent 30 minutes talking just about the concept of Christmas movies.
I would just say, to wrap us up on it, I think what I like about Christmas movies is that I love that by setting your movie at Christmas, it becomes a shot at being a Christmas movie, and whatever stuff you're trying to say in your movie also sort of becomes about Christmas. And I think that that's interesting and kind of a charming thing about just culturally and in the film industry. It's like, yeah, there's movies and then there's Christmas movies. And like the movie Die Hard does not really have, like, the actual plot of it doesn't really have any greater message about Christmas. Like, it's a movie about a marriage, really, more than anything. But by putting that Christmas window dressing around it, your movie then becomes something that people will experience sometimes every year at the same time of year. And I think that that's fun, and I like when different movies do that, and I like trying to rope in different movies to being a Christmas movie by virtue of them being set at Christmas.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that, actually.
Okay.
So this isn't a patented foreshadowing. That's just something. I want to talk about the industrial complex behind that. Does that not sound like the most Landen thing in the world?
I mean, it does, but that's the brand. People have bought into it,
yes.
to this at that point. Would Surviving Christmas work if it wasn't set at Christmas?
I have thoughts about that.
Oh, so okay.
That we'll get into.
We're running out of red and green pins to put in.
So
these
many.
things.
We should have went to Costco for them.
We're gonna have to start. We're gonna have to abandon the pins and start using the Christmas-themed Scotch tape that John McClane uses to tape his gun to the back of his head at the end of Die Hard.
Well, today the machine has made us watch Surviving Christmas from 2004. Truman, please provide us a synopsis, or at least pay someone else $250,000 to do it for you.
My synopses are worth way more than that. Wealthy advertising executive Drew Latham, played by Ben Affleck, is lonely and despondent after his girlfriend breaks up with him right before Christmas, his least favorite time of year. Acting on advice from a therapist, Drew attempts to exorcise his Christmas demons by visiting the house he grew up in, which is now occupied by gruff tow truck driver Tom Valco, played by James Gandolfini, his depressed wife Christine, played by Catherine O'Hara, and their internet porn-loving son Brian, played by Josh Zuckerman. After a brief tour of the house, Drew is so overcome with nostalgia that he offers the Valcos $250,000 to let him stay for the holidays and pretend to be his family in order to help him relive all of his good Christmas memories. The Valcos reluctantly agree, much to the chagrin of their adult daughter Alicia, played by Christina Applegate. Over the next few days, Drew goes to extreme lengths to recreate a perfect Christmas, even hiring an actor to move into the house to pretend to be his grandfather. As Drew's antics wear on the Valcos, a romance begins to bloom between him and Alicia, which is threatened when his ex-girlfriend shows up on Christmas Eve wanting to meet his new family. I went into a lot of detail about surviving Christmas there. I realize that, Landon.
The thing is, you set the movie up so well. I just hope people listen to it all.
Yeah, well, like what? You're afraid that they're going to drop off halfway through?
Like, I don't know. I just want people to like you did a much better job succinctly explaining what this movie is, more than the next hour and a half of our conversation is going to be. I just hope that people really absorbed how you presented it.
Okay, well, I mean, I think the value proposition of our podcast is not succinct descriptions of movies. It is more of the process of us going through and describing the bizarre inanity of the movies.
But, okay, I guess I'm trying to, like, internalize. Maybe I can let myself off the hook a little bit for trying to make sure people understand the context of what we're talking about, because you do such a good job in the synopsis.
Thank you. This open exchange of praise and goodwill is really what Christmas is all about. So we're super on brand with this episode.
I will go into some of the crew since you so succinctly went into the cast, although you did leave off Stephen Root as the therapist, but that's fine.
I thought about it. It was in there in an earlier draft, but I was like, no, I must be more succinct. We're saying succinct so much.
How many drafts do you do?
Oh, I take this job seriously, Landon. You may not be able to tell from the editing, but I do.
All right. This is directed by Mike Mitchell, who, gonna mention it now, directed Deuce Bigalow, Mal Gigolo. He directed Sky High. He directed this movie. And then, after this movie, took a sharp detour and has only done animation since.
Yeah, true. But one of those was the Lego Movie 2. So it's like, yes, he's made a detour into animation, but he's made a lot of money there. Like, he's been on huge, high-profile projects.
Yes. Sorry. I did not mean to imply any commentary about animation being lesser or easier to do. I just meant he gave up directing actors and trying to put a movie together on location in a studio, whatever. He decided, I'm going to tell animated stories from now on.
Yeah, right, of course. His zeal for working with human actors did not survive Christmas.
This is written, and I find this fascinating. We have 2 ampersands and an and. But the first pair, Harry Elephant and Deborah Kaplan, they are a writing team.
Yes.
And they have written Can't Hardly Wait.
Yep.
And Josie and the Pussycats. 2 movies. Josie and the Pussycats fucking slaps. It's so good. It's awesome. Everyone needs to watch it. And Can't Hardly Wait is seminal to my life experience. So I have nothing but praise for the 2 of them.
Yeah.
Then there's another writing team, or at least 2 writers who were teamed up together to write this.
Thrown together by fate.
Is Jennifer Ventimiglia and Joshua Sternin. Jesus Christ. And after this movie, they mostly stuck to television.
Yeah. I too would turn my back on the industry after the experience, or the film business after making a movie like this.
So you have 4 writers for a movie that didn't have a finished script going into production. We'll return to that.
Oh boy. When I start watching a movie for this podcast on Amazon, and Amazon X-Ray pops up, and the very first trivia tidbit it gives me during the opening credits is, this movie went into production without a finished screenplay, I just start rubbing my hands together and go, oh, we're going to have a discussion.
And the last person I want to call out is Greg Herring, who did the editing, and I am not putting this at his feet. There are a lot of decisions that go into how a movie is edited.
Yes.
Financial creative decisions, both pressure from producers, from studios, from the director.
Or also inability to make a decision between multiple different people and just kind of trying to muddle through. Yes.
So, Craig, I don't know what your experience was working on this, and I just want to exempt you from the criticism I have that this is one of the worst edited movies I've ever seen.
I think that the guy who edited Silence of the Lambs probably knew what he was doing, and yeah, he edited Silence of the Lambs, but then more importantly, he also edited K-Pax. So this is a man with a long and storied career working on some of the biggest movies in history. I'm really hesitant to lay any of what's going on in this movie at the feet of any of the writers or actors or even the director. I have a lot of thoughts about why this movie is the way it is, and the way this movie is, folks, is bad. This is not. Okay. We've done a couple of good ones recently. This one is a bad one. It's not. I don't think it's on the crew of this movie why this movie is bad.
Let's go into some personal reflections real quick, because I have a thought on that. But first, I gotta ask, what's your experience with this movie? Do you know it exists? You're one of the few people I know that when I would go over to their place, and I know they weren't yours, they were your roommates, but you had multiple copies of Fred Claus on your shelf.
Wait, I'm trying to remember where my DVDs were stored back so long ago.
They weren't yours. They were next
mine.
to the TV in the living room.
Oh my God, I did have yeah, well, I'm trying to think which of my roommates was responsible for that. There are so many suspects. No, I have not seen this movie. I am familiar with this movie. In particular, I am familiar with the poster, which is a body crushed under a wrapped gift. I feel like probably, honestly, one of my roommates did have this on DVD, and perhaps at some point earnestly told me that, oh, it's actually really good, the same way he did about Fred Claus. But so no, I've not seen it. What about you? Have you dabbled?
I have not seen this before. Like you, was very aware of it. Its reputation loomed large before I really knew anything about this movie. And to be honest, I didn't know anything about this movie outside of its existence and its cast before watching this. The thing is, in my mind, this movie existed as a reviled piece of Christmas content that my understanding was people hate this movie because it's mean-spirited, it's gross. I'm not saying I have any evidence for that. I'm just saying that was what my impression was going into this.
Yes.
So you can expect my disorientation is a word I'll use to describe my experience when it's not any of those things. And I was confounded by its reputation in my mind watching it. It is not good. I do not recommend this movie. That's a tip of my hand for the end of this episode. But I don't find it to be revolting.
And now look, this movie, it is fair to say that it got a fair amount of critical revulsion. It got ripped apart by the critics. It was nominated for Worst Picture, Worst Actor, and Worst Screenplay at the Golden Raspberry Awards.
Lost only to Catwoman.
Well, that was a big year. Catwoman truly is kind of the godfather of the Golden Raspberries. But I think that this movie is quite mean-spirited and quite gross. But this is the thing, though. Having also watched Christmas with the Cranks, which came out in the same year, and actually within the same month, there was a lot of conflict between them, which we'll get to. I don't think this Christmas with the Cranks is so much more mean-spirited and so much more gross than this one.
Yes.
That I think that for the two of us, it's like we can watch this movie and be like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, it's bad, but it's no Cranks. Whereas for a normal civilian, this movie's pretty pretty demented in a lot of ways.
You think so?
I think...
Okay, I can't wait to break that open with you, because, I don't know that I get that.
Okay, well, this is great. This is great. We get to have a little bit of debate, arguing with your loved ones. That's what Christmas is all about.
I mean, I am open to understanding that better. I mean, it is very possible that I missed it. I will admit, and have already in this episode, to being a holiday curmudgeon. I don't like to ruin the experience for others, but there was a moment early in the film, and maybe this can transition us into talking about it, where I was like, oh, is this going to be a movie about how shitty and hard it is to get through the holiday season?
Well, that certainly is the implication of the title and the opening credit sequence, isn't it? And
yeah.
And the poster with the man crushed by a gift. Before we get into talking about the movie, should we talk about how much money was spent on it, how much money it made?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Yes. Well, Landon, you're always the one who forgets the format of the podcast, and it falls to old Truman to get us back on track.
I'm giving you a gift this holiday season of assuming that rule for you. This movie was released on October 22nd, 2004.
Merry Christmas! It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Now, you can say the studios had no confidence in this by releasing a Christmas movie before Halloween. Or you can say the studio had prescience in knowing that in 2025, stores will put their Halloween decorations away the second week of October and bring out the Christmas decorations before Halloween.
Yeah. They were really gunning for the long-lasting cultural appeal of surviving Christmas. It's like that movie flopped, and all the executives were like, well, maybe you don't like it now, but your kids are going to love it.
This was released by DreamWorks. Second movie we've done with DreamWorks this season, the other one being another production disaster.
I'm trying to remember which one that was. Oh, wait, that was In Dreams.
Dreams.
In Dreams, yes.
So I think after this one, DreamWorks was like, okay, we didn't know what we wanted to be when we grow up, and now we do. Let's stop fucking around with that stuff and just make our big blockbuster animated movies.
Yes. Yeah, again, much like the director of this movie, just like, nope, no more. No more humans. Only Shreks.
What do you think... Okay, I'm going to mention this is PG-13. Again, I'm going into this movie thinking it's a hard R.
Yeah.
And it's PG-13.
Yeah.
So I'm putting these elements out here for you to put the formula together and formulate a guess. October 22nd, Christmas movie, big production company and distribution company putting it out. How many theaters do you think they put it into?
I'm gonna say, my guess is they put it into like 1,000 theaters.
You're going low with it.
I think that the way that the production company is treating this movie is the same way I treat a pile of dog crap that I have to pick up. I am wrapping a plastic bag around my hand. I am picking it up. I am carrying it at arm's length to the dumpster.
Well, I think they might not have had any faith in the movie itself, but I think that they were holding out for a sleeper holiday hit because they released this into 2,750.
Wow.
2,750 theaters.
Wait, okay, 2,750.
I think you call that counter-programming. You're like, oh, your Halloween season, we're gonna blow your minds with a Christmas movie.
I mean, maybe you call that counter-programming, but that's dumb. That's like, we're gonna counter-program the current holiday with a different holiday.
I mean, again, it's what the stores are doing.
They had the brilliance then that our corporate overlords have now. Wow, that's how... I'm interested in what the opening weekend box office looked like. How many people were like, Halloween almost upon us, jack-o'-lanterns? Let's watch a Christmas comedy starring Tony Soprano and Ben Affleck.
Okay, I've got the info for you, dude.
Give it.
Do you want to know its placement in the box office top 10, or do you want to know how much it grossed that weekend?
I want to know how much it grossed that weekend.
Okay. In its opening weekend, it grosses a total of $4.4 million.
It's a low number.
Yes.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll tip my hand and say it didn't come in at number one. The
Yeah.
number one box office that weekend earned $39 million.
Okay, and that was like, what, the fucking Halloween remake or something? What was number one?
The Grudge.
Okay, see, that makes sense to be in theaters the week before Halloween. What was number two? Just talk me through the list.
All right. Coming in at number two in its fourth week is Shark Tale.
How many weeks had that been in there?
This was in its fourth week. It made
Wow.
$14 million on its fourth week, and not a final gross, but a total gross up to this point of $136.9 million.
Wow, Shark Tale had legs. Kind of ironic.
It evolved and walked on land.
That's the sequel, Landon.
Okay,
my
bad.
What's next?
Number three in its second week is Shall We Dance? Diane
Interesting.
Lane does
Yeah.
a little spin around the ballroom.
Hmm.
Number three in its fourth week. Nope, wrong way. Number four in its third week
There you
is Friday Night Lights.
Oh, hey, they made a TV show out of that. Okay, cool.
He did.
Yeah.
In its second week, in number five, America. Fuck yeah.
Wait, Team America in
Yes.
number 5? Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so, as we discussed the American Dreams episode last year, that was kind of the first shot of like, no, we can make fun of George Bush a little bit now.
And then, do you smell number 6?
Is
Do you
it?
smell that?
Oh, wait. Scorpion King?
Oh my god. Good guess off
Because
of that.
It's what The Rock is cooking.
No, there's no way you would have guessed. It's got time machine stank on it, which means at some point in the future or the past, depending on how you look at time, the machine is going to be sending this one to us.
Yeah.
In its fourth week, Ladder 49.
Oh, man, Ladder 49. Now, that's not about 9/11, right? Or that is about 9/11?
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but it's John Travolta and Joaquin Phoenix as firefighters.
Man, name a more
So
iconic duo.
If it's not about 9/11, it's got 9/11 vapors on it.
I mean, certainly. Well, a lot of Lower Manhattan did. I know that Nicolas Cage was in a 9/11 fireman movie, and
That's
so it's just
correct.
a question of whether Travolta was. And I think we need to wait for the machine to give it to. I want neither of us to
Okay.
find out if that's a 9/11
That's fine.
movie until we have to watch it.
Okay, great. Then the number 7 is Surviving Christmas, and it just barely beats out Taxi, the Jimmy Fallon Queen Latifah movie.
If only the executives who guessed how Christmas season starts in the middle of October, if they only had the same foresight to realize how big and relevant Jimmy Fallon is in 2025, how great and well-loved he is, they would have put that in more theaters. Okay, so I'm honestly surprised that there's only one horror movie in the lineup at this point. It's still...
there
It's
is
still
one other.
insane. Oh, there is one other?
Coming in at number 9, it's The Forgotten with Julianne Moore. But
Oh.
yeah, agreed. I think people assume there are more scary movies out at Halloween season than there actually are. Mostly because, at least nowadays, a lot of the theaters are filled with retro screenings.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I guess so. Even though I overestimated how many horror movies would be in theaters, I still think the fact that there are no other Christmas movies in theaters in the third
Yes,
week of
yes.
October is still a sign
Yeah.
that Surviving Christmas shouldn't have been there.
1 month later, Christmas with the Cranks comes out on November 24th.
That is really something. Okay, we need to get into the discussion of this
Yeah.
movie. Now,
Well, let me just run the budget and stuff so that we can
Of
see
course.
just how much this movie tanks.
of course.
This movie had a budget production budget approximately $40 to $45 million.
Mm-hmm.
The total domestic box office is 11.6. It was only in theaters for about 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The international box office, which for holiday movies is a lot more limited than your typical release just because of the holiday season, 3.4.
Oof.
For a total of $15.1 million.
Yeah, okay. So you're losing about $30 million on Surviving Christmas.
Easily.
Also worth noting, Surviving Christmas comes out October 22nd. It was released on DVD 9 weeks later.
Yes.
So it hits theaters before Halloween. It's on DVD before that Christmas.
You know, it's maybe completely uninteresting to mention this, but
Get ready.
I have a very keen awareness of the release schedule from my, throughout my life of like, you would have to wait like a year for it from it to go from theaters to VHS.
Mm-hmm.
And then when DVDs were first released, it was usually like, I guess maybe about a year or so before you could buy it or rent it on DVD. And this is the first of like, maybe we can recoup some expenses by getting it out onto home video a lot faster.
Yeah. Surviving Christmas really did kind of, in so many ways, it's a prescient movie. It could kind of predict the hellscape that we're living in today. It really just seems to me like just, okay, no one's gonna live in this house. Let's rip out the copper wiring and just get whatever we can to offset our loss.
I think that is important to note, though, because, like, had this been released in 2025, intended for theatrical, this is the movie they get. This is absolutely the situation where they go, you know what? We're not going to do a theatrical release on this. Just dump it as a streaming premiere, and, we'll just cut our losses and move on, and then in 3 months we'll take it off the service and say it was a loss leader, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, like the hit film Crater on Disney Plus, it will be the third thing you can scroll to on new releases, and then it will be nuked for the tax write-off.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let me get us in by what we were kind of hinting at earlier, which is I'm going into the first part of this movie thinking, oh, I get the title now. Surviving Christmas, this is going to be about people like me who have a hard time at Christmas, and I have a hard time surviving the holidays.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see myself reflected on the screen.
Did you not get the title before you start, before you're like, Surviving Christmas? What could this possibly be? You didn't surmise that was the plot of the movie already?
No, because my mind went somewhere with it that I think the movie tries to go, actually. Once it abandons the idea of trying to, survive the holidays.
Which it does in about 2.5 minutes, yeah.
I thought it was a meet the parents scenario. It's I have to survive my in-laws for the holidays.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I thought, I thought that the whole movie was going to be, okay, another parallel with Christmas with the Cranks, the movie that came out a month later. I thought that this movie was going to center, like that one, on, the Christmas season sure is a lot. There's a lot of social obligations and things you have to do that aren't always pleasant, and it's like, how do you maintain sanity through that process? Everything about the title and the opening credits everything about the title and the intent of the opening credits sequence that were shown is trying to tell us that's the movie we're getting until it decides not to be that movie.
Yeah. I don't feel like I explained myself very well.
Okay.
I'll be more simple. I thought this was going to be about Ben Affleck surviving Gandolfini.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought this movie was going to be going into it.
And instead, it's really, I guess, if you kind of really take a wide view of it, it's more about James Gandolfini surviving Ben Affleck, but that's just an inherently less interesting thing to watch because Ben Affleck, how is he a threat in any way to, how is he a force that James Gandolfini must survive?
You're asking the right questions that the movie did not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have ended up in the place that they are.
This is so you are coming at this movie as a person who doesn't have a lot of fond associations with the holidays, and I'm coming at it as someone who does, and so watching the movie, opening shots, you've got It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year is playing, and it's all these montage shots of Chicago at Christmas time. It's the and it's all this is all sort of like B-roll shots of crowds of people at department stores, and people are ice skating, and Salvation Army bands, and it's Santa Claus.
Trees, sleighs, presents, decorations.
Most wonderful time. And I'm seeing all this, and my first feeling is one of just sort of warmth, and it's like, oh man, yeah, Christmas. Yeah, it's coming up in a couple months. I'm excited for Christmas.
This really does. This definitely illustrates our differences here, because I'm watching this going, oh, motherfucker, how many movies start with It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year?
Look, and that is very true. I was also watching it and thinking, like, oh man, how many movies start with shots of people getting ready for the holidays in a major Midwestern city? Boy, I can't wait to watch all of them with my mom and dad this year.
And when Tom Kenny, famed voice actor Tom Kenny, is the guy that's wrapping presents in that montage, and I'm just like, oh, okay, so we're just gonna romanticize that. I'm like, wrapping presents is so hard. I hate it. I hate doing it. It's just, I hate the waste of paper for 1 second of the whole thing. And then when following his little through line in this montage, the second he started having a problem with like the tape dispenser, I'm like, oh, wait, this isn't what it's presenting itself to be. It's setting up my experience. Ooh.
Oh, this movie, it's not my daddy's Christmas movie. This movie's a little bit twisted. I think the Joker directed this film. So, yes, intercut with this B-roll of holiday stuff in Chicago, we get kind of like, then cuts to like 3 different things where it's like actors on a set, like 3 individual sort of storylines where it's like a dude is trying to wrap a Christmas gift and he's having a harder and harder time with it, and we're intercutting between, ice skaters, and then back to this guy who's like freaking out and like throwing the wrapping paper around trying to get this present wrapped. There's like a woman watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on TV, and she just looks kind of sad, and then it's like,
okay, all right, I gotta zoom in on this a little bit,
okay,
because this was a tone setter for me, and I'll be honest, I understand it was cynical, but I'm like, if you're gonna go full bore in that direction, like, commit to it, and it seems like you might be, and I could be on board with it. There's there's 2 moments in particular. One, there's this Wall Street guy who is kind of he's standing in front of a Salvation Army Santa, and he puts money in the pot, and the Santa Claus just like gives him like a guilt face, and the guy like grumbles and then puts his expensive watch in there, and then eventually throws his wallet with all these $100 bills in there. And, like, the reality of that is that's a Wall Street guy who would take one look at that Santa and tell him to get a fucking job and keep walking.
Yeah,
but
sure.
The fact that they're, like, making a commentary out of, like, you are being browbeaten at every turn for money from people for good reasons. I'm not trying to, take turn.
No, Landen hates charity, hates Santa Claus. Yeah, a real
But, I mean,
are you...
You're not going to sit here and tell me, you're like, oh, maybe I'll go out the other door of the grocery store to not have to pass the fucking Santa Claus 6 times?
100%. They should pass a law that forbids anyone from standing in front of a supermarket. I fully agree.
The other moment in this montage where I was like, okay, if you're going to commit to this tone for this movie, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. It's this grandmother making Christmas dinner.
Yeah. It's just cookies, I think. It's just cookies.
It's just cookies. Okay. Go for it. You take us through this, because I'll laugh too much.
So we've been cycling through, happy holiday B-roll and these different people getting progressively more upset. And this one is this woman, this old woman, opens the, she's got these holiday gingerbread cookies, this tray of them, and she carries it over. We get a shot of the tray of gingerbread cookies, and they all have frowny faces on instead of happy faces. She goes over to the oven with them, opens the oven to put them in, then gets down on her knees, puts her head inside the oven, and that's the end of the opening credits. Of the year, bum ba da bum bum, directed by Mike Mitchell.
Now listen, regardless of how you feel about it, it's a strong opening.
It's a fucking swing. I was watching this. I was on a plane watching this, and we got to that point, and I was just, the people sitting next to me must have thought I was insane, because I was just rocking back and forth, going, oh shit, this movie is trying stuff. And like, the thing for me is, like, that is completely unearned. I was totally ready for this movie to be about, yeah, the holidays are stressful, and it's people getting worn down by them, and like, yeah, okay, let's go with it. The holidays have plenty of stress in them. I get stressed out at the holidays too, even though I like them, etc. But it's that all of the B-roll footage they're cutting from makes the holidays look genuinely nice. Like, it's just crowds of happy people out, like, at the ice skating rink and Santa Claus. It all looks, like, nice and normal. And then you're cutting to, like, I'm gonna put my head in an oven. And it's like, none of the holiday shit you're showing me...
Wow.
You're not filming the people in the department store in a way that makes it look like claustrophobic and shitty the way it frequently is. You're not filming, like a lot of it looks charming and nice, and then you're cutting to people who are putting their heads in ovens, and it's like, you haven't telegraphed the stress of Christmas. You're just telegraphing that these people are very upset.
This is a litmus test, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because I looked at all of those things that you said look nice and everything, and I didn't even need to see the depiction of stressed out people at the checkout line at the department store. I'm like, oh, you've got Christmas decorations up that look all nice and everything. Let me put my head in an oven.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is, and you're really primed for this, and that's great that you're, like, ready to meet the movie, like, on the like 90% of the way there. I just think that if you're making a movie that you're releasing, like, I'm not the only one who enjoys the holidays. In fact, there are a great many people who are members of a religion that actually is kind of centered around Christmas who have even warmer feelings than I do. If you're putting this movie out, you need to kind of, like, make the visual case really apparent up front that, like, hey, no matter...
Can't we have some films too? There aren't any Christmas movies for us.
You know what, Landon?
What?
Take Surviving Christmas. You can have it. You know what? Watch it every fucking year. This great movie that we liked so much. I'll keep all the good Christmas movies, and you'll have this dog shit. I'm glad we're talking so much about the opening credits, because none of these people, none of this stuff ever comes back again. As soon as the opening credits end with that lady killing herself over her gingerbread men, the movie becomes an entirely new thing. Meet Ben Affleck.
And this is the second Christmas movie that we have covered, including the Santa Claus, in which the protagonist is a marketing dude trying to sell Christmas stuff.
Yeah. This is also the second movie we've covered that in one of the early scenes, Ben Affleck's beautiful girlfriend breaks up with him for not being serious enough about their relationship.
It's true.
Yeah.
The like, continuing from that demented opening montage, as we're introduced to this marketing firm, where I was like, there was just at the forefront of this movie a number of things that just kind of like, oh, this is what this movie's going to be, and I was, as you said, primed for it, because as we're introduced to the marketing firm, the logo for the marketing firm, I don't know if you caught this, it was in the background, was just the earth on fire. And I was like, okay, all right, I see where you're coming at from this movie, and I feel you a little bit.
Well, what's even the name of his marketing agency that has the...
It does not matter even a little bit.
I think I was more distracted by the fact that Ben Affleck is making this pitch for some brand of eggnog to, to some clients, and he's wearing, like, a graphic T-shirt underneath a blazer, and I'm just looking at this thinking, man, 2004, this was the coolest shit. This is how you show that your protagonist is a cool businessman who doesn't give a fuck. But... yes, he's doing this whole ad pitch for how this super high-proof eggnog is the only way you can get through the holidays, because you've got to be drunk to make it through the whole thing, and the clients love it, and that's great. And so, yeah, I'm thinking, okay, so he's this very cynical businessman. He goes home to his very large apartment where he shows his girlfriend that he's got them 2 tickets to Fiji for the holidays, and his girlfriend is outraged, saying, like, well, I thought we were gonna, like, do Christmas together. I thought I was going to meet your family. I thought you were serious
Yeah.
about this. And she breaks up with him. And he's like very cagey about like, oh, well, my family, well, I don't know. It just wouldn't be better to go to Fiji.
This is okay. And the first of many descents into terrible sitcom writing.
Yes.
Where, like, this is an episode of TV where it's just like, I always point to Three's Company, which I love, but like 99% of those episodes can be resolved with a character at the beginning of the episode just going, "Oh, I don't have a family.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have anyone to introduce you to. I have it's hard for me to get through the holidays because I don't have all this stuff."
Should we blow the lid off the spoiler ending of this just so we have it out in the open? Okay, so Ben Affleck throughout the movie,
Truman.
it's yeah.
We'll talk about the beginning, we'll talk about the ending, and we'll work our way toward the middle.
Don't you fucking.
Well,
we got.
We'll end this fable in the middle.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Thank you. It's the worst. A lump of coal in my stocking is a reference to the movie Reminiscence. Ben Affleck throughout the movie is like, he has all this traumatic background with Christmas or whatever. He's got like Christmas stuff that he wants, and people are always asking him like, well, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
And
Okay,
everyone,
good.
he goes and he's living with James Gandolfini and these people. And it's like, I want you to be my family for Christmas. And a couple times people are like, dude, where the fuck's your family? Why don't you go bug them? And he's like, oh,
Right.
it's some other thing. At the end of the movie, we come to find out that his dad walked out on the family when he was very young. His mom had to work all the time at this coffee shop, and so every Christmas she'd work a double shift there, and he'd just go to the coffee shop and eat a bunch of pancakes with her. And that is, we never had like a real Christmas. And then his mom died when he was in college, so now he doesn't have a family.
Yeah. I mean, presumably his dad's out there somewhere.
Well, yeah, but he's not like what are you going to do? You spend a lot of time trying to get in touch with that douchebag?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you're spending $250,000 to rent a new family. Couldn't you spend that money to try to find him and at least, like, not reconcile, but, like, tell him off or something? I don't know. Get some closure on some regard.
Yeah, touche, dude. When you're right, you're right. That would be emotionally healthier, I think, to probably work through the issues with your dad instead of just going and terrorizing some innocent family.
It has very, like, almost slasher movie vibes because the only reason they are targeted is because they live in his childhood home.
Yeah.
It's kind of like The Strangers. Why us? Because you were home.
Really, yeah, if James Gandolfini just hadn't walked outside and hit him with the snow shovel when he saw him setting that thing on fire, like, none of this would have happened. Ben Affleck would have just gone home. But, yeah, so that's his, like, tragic backstory, is that single-parent household, and now his mom is dead.
And I want to, since you mentioned it, just say this is evidence of this movie not having a completed script going into it. A lot of it is improvised.
Yes.
No one knew what they were shooting each day.
Yes.
Which extends more than just like the performances and how they build out the characterizations. But Ben Affleck's backstory in this movie flip-flops between a poor working class upbringing and a middle class upbringing. There's no consistency to it.
Because this is the thing, he's gone back to his childhood home, which is this nice, like, 2-story, seemingly 4-5-bedroom home in the Chicagoland suburbs in a nice area. And then he's telling this story at the end of the movie about, like, well, my mom had to work all the time at a coffee shop to make ends meet. And it's like, you're on one income on coffee shop money, you're paying the mortgage on this place?
It's, you know what it reminds me of?
What?
Another protagonist who lost their parents at an early age.
Yeah,
Anya Taylor-Joy running the running the house of Playmobil, the movie.
I was thinking about this because, let me be honest, I look, I'm not trying to shit on anybody's circumstances. I had a very nice, happy childhood. Ben Affleck's character's childhood, that's rough, man. That's rough that your dad walked out. It's rough that your mom had to work all the time. You had to spend Christmases at the coffee shop. That doesn't sound like the worst shit in the world. Like, your mom clearly loved you a lot, and, like, yeah, you had to, like, you didn't have the Christmases you wanted to have necessarily, but, like, you spent Christmas with her at the coffee shop eating a bunch of pancakes. Like, that's got to be kind of fun for a kid, at least a little bit. Like, that's Anya Taylor-Joy had a way worse time of it.
My question is, and this is why I holiday movies and the season bothers me, is like, what was your experience the rest of the year? Just because you didn't get a Christmas, were you, like, did you have a bicycle? Were you able to get around? Were you provided for? Like,
what about friends, my lad? Did you have friends?
And now, I'm not, again, like you, trying to call out anyone's circumstances as, and being dismissive of it, but, like, his obsession is Christmas and being with people on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. And there's no indication how his childhood was beyond that very thin slice of, perspective.
His entire life defined by having to eat pancakes on Christmas, a thing that sounds I'm sorry, I can't like shed a lot of tears. It's like every Christmas I had to just sit at the diner with my mom and eat a stack of pancakes, and I'm like,
and to this day I can't go into diners again.
That is such a stupid thing. I've never walked into a coffee shop since. Oh, okay. Like,
this is him saying, hey, I've never walked into a coffee shop since, but I made my billions of dollars probably on Starbucks stock.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have wrecked your life that much that you had to eat pancakes on Christmas in a coffee shop. But so he's got all of this baggage around Christmas, and it's like he wants to go to Fiji for Christmas with his girlfriend. I guess he doesn't have to think about Christmas. She breaks up with him. Then he's so determined to not spend Christmas alone that we get this sequence of him calling through all of his friends in his Rolodex, asking them if he can spend Christmas with them and their families. So then it's like, what's his motivation now? Now he wants to go all in on spending Christmas with someone?
This was the very first part where I'm like, when he has the scene with Jennifer Morrison playing his girlfriend, and they break up, he hasn't gone into Looney Tunes character yet.
No.
He's still like charming leading man Ben Affleck. And so after she breaks up with him and he starts calling everyone, that's where the movie started to go for me, like, what, why? Dude, you get to spend Christmas alone.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like, go do whatever the fuck you want, man.
Go to Fiji yourself. Just go on your own.
Or stay in and, like, avoid the pressures of the season. Like, no one has to bother you. You can fucking watch Die Hard 3 times in a row.
Yeah, exactly. Which you could never do with your family. The whole movie turns on this guy's relationship with Christmas, and in the first, like, 3 scenes, we have a really hard time getting a handle on how exactly he feels about Christmas. He goes from saying to at work, Christmas is with your family is awful. You have to be drunk the whole time to get through it. He goes to his girlfriend, we're going to go to Fiji. We're going to skip Christmas, like in the hit John Grisham novel Skipping Christmas, soon to be released as Christmas with the Cranks. And then as soon as she breaks up with him, then he's like, I have to find someone to spend Christmas with at their family Christmas celebration. So you're immediately off balance. And fortunately, if you're watching this on Amazon, you got the little pop-up early on that's like, this movie didn't have a finished script, so you can know why it's happening.
How meta does the commentary on the X-ray get? Is like, don't panic. You aren't crazy for not understanding what's going on. There's a reason for that.
Yes, they've got a new AI feature that generates a little, like, kind of podcast co-host to sit next to you and be like, that's okay, I don't get it either, dude. Let's just enjoy it.
So from not being able to contact someone for Christmas, like, he's making all these, side note, he's calling all these people saying, hey, well, can you afford one more for the table? And everyone's saying no. And because he hasn't been set up as Looney Tunes, suddenly I'm like, well, why doesn't anyone want to spend any time with him? I'm confused.
Yeah.
But then he calls up one of his dudes and he's like, hey, well, do you want to do something together? And he's like, oh, I'm going to, you don't hear the other side of the conversation, but basically he's spending time with his significant other. And he's like, well, what if you just spent time with your bro? on Christmas. And I'm like, well, that's kind of an idea. I'd like to see that movie. Just two bros hanging out on Christmas because they don't have anyone else to go. Like that's an idea.
Yeah, they call it
But
bromas.
it's posed as like like Ben Affleck is transgressing against the idea of the holidays.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's more transgressing to be like, why don't you leave your wife alone so you can hang out with me? I mean, that's the transgression is more how oblivious he is to his friends' needs, I think.
What's wrong with that?
This movie is a litmus test.
But okay, the point is, after he tries to get someone to spend Christmas with him and he doesn't, suddenly he's rushing through the airport trying to catch up to a therapist. And it's not his therapist, it's his ex-girlfriend's therapist.
For some reason, yes.
And this is the point where I'm like, oh, he's losing his mind.
Yeah.
This is what the holidays does to somebody. And I was hoping that it was going to be a movie about how the holidays turns you insane.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. From scene to scene, his psychology does not make sense at all.
Yeah, you're starting for every scene. It's like, okay, what's Ben Affleck's deal in this scene? What mental illness has he got here? Yeah, because he chases down his ex's therapist, played by Stephen Root, in a crowded airport.
Stephen Root is, in addition to trying to like shake Ben Affleck off, he's got like 5 kids who are all rambunctious and crawling, through the X-ray machines, and every time I go in this direction, I always feel so nervous because it never pays off. This reminds me of the time I saw Sam Raimi at the airport.
What 2000? This movie came out in 2004, the same year that Landon went to the Sundance Film Festival. So all of his stories root in this area. Oh,
no. Now Sam Raimi is from Michigan, and I happened to see him at the Detroit airport when I was doing a connecting flight. And I don't know what his family situation is. I will just say he had a lot of kids around him, whether or not they were his or family members or not. And he just had the exhausted look of a frustrated parent trying to wrangle them all. And I'm like, what's harder, this or Spider-Man 3?
He had kind of the bedraggled look that Bruce Campbell gets at the end of any of the Evil Dead movies. Like his kids are running around, they're like the 3 little mini ashes in Army of Darkness that are tormenting him. I mean, and like that is this other case of the movie seemingly cluing into the theme of like surviving Christmas, where it's like, airport terminal at the holidays. It is super packed and crowded. Stephen Root is at his wit's end trying to get his kids on the plane to go see family. Like, the way that this airport looks, I'm like, God, that's the thing I hate about the holidays. Ooh, Burbank Airport, when I'm trying to fly back, it's so crowded and nasty. But so that they're going a little bit more into this whole everybody's at their wit's end, but then it gets abandoned after this. But he's talking to Stephen Root. He's saying, she broke up with me. I don't even remember how he just starts talking about how he has all of this baggage surrounding Christmas. What can I do? How can I get back with her?
Stephen Root, just to like get him off his back and recognizing that this is psychopathic behavior, it was just like, okay, I got an idea, dude. As he's like being tugged by his, daughter or something, and says, here's something you can do. Just write down your grievances on a list and then burn it in a place of significance. Yeah, that'll solve it for you. And then, he has to, fall on the conveyor belt to catch his daughter going through the X-ray machine.
The whole thing works up to his daughter crawling through the X-ray machine, and then we pan over to the screen on it and we see the skeleton crawling through it because she's on X-ray, which is it's something. It's kind of gonzo, I guess. And also, if this movie comes out in the Halloween season, it does make it technically a horror movie because you see a skeleton.
The big takeaway from this scene, and this essentially concludes most of the opening, is Ben Affleck is doing insane behavior here. Yeah. And is so quick to accept the, like, okay, if that's gonna work for me, I'll go do it. Like, no questioning of, like, he's not a real character anymore. He at the end of the scene, he has entered into full cartoon character.
And also, this is a piece of advice that's given to him by a man he has just met for the first time in the airport. This isn't coming from somebody he trusts. It just, like, what the problem he's trying to solve isn't even clear yet. But next thing we know, he's in a cab going out into the Chicago suburbs to his childhood home with, like, writing down a list of grievances that he can set fire to. Also, what are your grievances now that I know the full story? It's like your grievances that your dad left and that your mom had to work. That's 2 grievances.
He didn't even write that down. Okay, now, this is going to be the first of 2 Peacemaker references I make on this show.
Love it, love it.
I can't remember because I watched a Peacemaker episode the same day I watched Surviving Christmas. I don't know if he writes down on the piece of paper, the people I love leave me.
Yeah, no, he writes that down at the end of the movie, yeah. And he throws it in the fireplace.
Right, and he puts it into the fireplace. I'm pretty sure John Cena also says that at the end of season 2 of Peacemaker.
Wow, dude, spoilers for me, who hasn't seen season 2 of Peacemaker yet. Wow.
That's really spoiled nothing.
I'm glad to know Peacemaker is finally self-actualizing a little bit, though. Good for Peacemaker. But so he goes out there to do this. He writes this down. He goes to the front lawn.
Yeah, and I think this is where we can just pivot and start talking about the different archetypes of the characters, because at this point we are now being introduced to who will be in the rest of the film.
Yes.
He goes through this whole thing. Okay, should I bring this out? It's a personal story between the two of us.
Bring it up.
Ben Affleck going to his childhood home, standing out front, doing this ritual of setting something on fire, writing his grievance down, putting it in flames, and releasing it into the wilds. Meanwhile, James Gandolfini is watching him from the front window, and eventually comes out and is like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And it reminded me. Well, I know he comes out with the shovel and hits him with the shovel, but
yeah, there you go.
It reminded me of when you visited Madison and we went to your dad's childhood house, and we were just looking at a tree. Ben Affleck looks at a tree in the front of this house that he wrote his name on. It says Drew, and then someone comes out and just like, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
Is my first time in my dad was born and grew up for a few years in Madison, and the first time I went out to visit Landen, it was like my dad, you're going to Madison, here's the address, you should go take a look at it, get a picture for me. And yeah, I'm like, oh wow, the Midwest, I haven't really been here before, everyone's so nice and friendly. And like the first Madisonian we encounter, we're standing outside the house. This guy's just like, "What are you guys doing? My dog's going crazy and my kid's trying to take a nap, so can you move on?" It's just like it's like I'm in New York in the 80s all of a sudden.
At least he didn't come at us with a shovel.
I mean, if we'd stood there another minute, he probably would have. But yeah, he conks Affleck on the head, brings him inside, and then, they find out, "Oh, I used to live here, can I look around?" And then he's just kind of there.
We're introduced to Catherine O'Hara, who gives him a little tour of the house, kind of. Where do I want to go with this? I want to mention this because it's apropos of nothing and will go nowhere.
Okay, great.
What does it say about the late, great our king, James Gandolfini, that he has been romantically paired in movies with some of the funniest women who've ever existed?
I mean, I think it says he's a great performer and he's a great straight man to play off of.
Yeah.
We've got Catherine O'Hara here. I mean, I think Edie Falco is quite funny. I think she's very funny on The Sopranos. I don't know if that's what you mean. Who else we got?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course.
And I'm sure there are others.
Yeah. Well, 3 is a crowd. You got 3 right there. So, like, when we first are kind of like meeting the family, give me
your vibe of the home. Like, okay. Pretend you are walking into your friend's house for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
What's the, like, you're taking stock of how they live.
Yeah.
How would you describe how the Valcos live?
The Valcos, are, I think, why I get a very mean-spirited vibe off of this movie. The Valcos do not seem to like each other that much. There is James Gandolfini, who is playing Tony Soprano, basically. Like, what if Tony Soprano was a tow truck driver in Chicago? He's just sort of, he's gruff, and he's grumpy, and he's kind of just generally irritated by stuff. I'm always happy to see James Gandolfini in a movie. He's so great. He's our king. I love him.
Yep.
He's great. He's got a cute beard in this. It's fun. And like he and his wife Catherine O'Hara, they're just kind of just sniping back and forth at each other, and then we get a cut of their kid up. She's saying some, they're talking about how ever since we put the computer in our son's room, he's never down here, and Catherine O'Hara is saying like, well, that's good, he's studying and he can get a good job one day. And then we cut to their son upstairs, and he's looking at a porn site on his computer, and cuts back.
Not just any porn site, Truman. Not just any porn site. And it's a very like 1997 design.
The web design on the porn sites this kid looks at is primo stuff.
Yeah, it's so good. And it was something like, learn from the power of my butt cheeks. it was so like simultaneously specific but also sanitized in a PG-13 way that I don't know, it just really made me giggle.
Yeah, it's like a Mormon kid trying to like act cool, like he's looked at porn. But he's up there, he's looking at a porn site, and then we cut back downstairs, and James Gandolfini is like, oh yeah, if I get paid to do that, I would have retired at 17. And it's just that I think for me just really like my vibe off the Valcos and this family that I'm going to be spending the rest of the movie with is just like, ugh. They're the two of them are just kind of cynical and tired of each other and never really seem to be happy to be together. And we learn we learn later they're having some trouble in their marriage. So fair, fine.
But we should know. This is as far as like Monday morning writers' room. We learn halfway through the film that they're on the brink of divorce, and they're gonna, make the announcement after the holidays, etc.
Yeah.
And to me, that's part of the theme of surviving. Mm-hmm. That not only should this movie's characters survive Christmas, but by the circumstances they find themselves in, eventually end up thriving.
Yes.
And the fact that this was what you just went through was a Rosetta Stone for me, mm-hmm. Of understanding our different experiences. Mm-hmm. Because let me recite to you what I heard you say.
Yeah.
And just tell me if you think I'm right or if I'm on the right track. James Gandolfini, Catherine O'Hara are so snipey and not nice to each other.
Sure.
That you have an unlikable character in Ben Affleck entering into a situation where you already have unlikable characters, and so you have one obnoxious unlikable character annoying two other unlikable characters.
Yeah, this and also you've got this obnoxious, unlikable character coming into a situation and annoying a bunch of people who already seem to be constantly annoyed just by being around each other.
Yeah.
Like, he's not disrupting an otherwise kind of perfect ecosystem where they have their own vibe and everything's working. It's like, I don't have a problem with a movie where it's like, yeah, the husband and wife are constantly sniping at each other. Like the movie The Roses that just came out, it's like, that's fun watching Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman go back and forth because it's fun banter. Here, this is very, very weak jokes that are just sort of like lightly improvised or written on the day.
It almost feels like it needs to go in one direction or the other. Like, it feels very passive-aggressive, like, I hate you energy, which maybe feels a little bit too real. Whereas, like, if we started with, like, the introduction of the character is just James Gandolfini standing there, and then a plate smashes against the wall behind his head, and they're yelling at each other, then we at least know where we stand, and then you set up a fun dichotomy of both of them, James Gandolfini and Catherine O'Hara, using Ben Affleck to get back at each other, but then the circumstances bring them all together by the end.
Yes, exactly. What you're describing is a way that you could kind of escalate and innovate on the premise over the course of the movie, which is a thing that we don't really get happening here.
No.
Because, when it starts, it's just the two of them are just kind of sitting at the breakfast table, seemingly like having a meal together, and just sort of like grousing a little bit. So it nothing ever really escalates beyond just, well, what are they talking about? Well, they're talking about how their son masturbates all the time, because that's what their son's whole thing is. And like their son throughout the movie, he also just looks really unhappy to be around anybody, and the only thing he wants to do is go jack off. And it's like it's
all just a little too real.
Well, yes, okay, and you're right. I mean, you've talked about the value of being able to see yourself up there on screen in a movie. So representation matters, but also, like, this is advice that I would give to any young man with a computer in his room. There's more to life than jacking off. You need to have other interests, and the fact that just every scene involving this kid is just him wanting to look at porn on his computer. That also just contributes to kind of the cynical and mean-spirited nature of this movie.
Are you suggesting that if you were to go back in time and tell him this, that you would sit him down and say, look, there's porn on your computer, but there's also fan fiction fan boards on your computer?
Yeah, exactly. What? Not just sex, young lad, but violence too. You can have.
Oh no.
You can have both. You gotta mix it up. Variety's the spice of life.
This is the family that needs to be fixed, which maybe makes sense if you don't have Ben Affleck's obnoxious character. Like, that's the thing where that's I think a fundamental area where this movie's broken is, like, you can have the broken, fucked up family that screams to each other from the other room, a cardinal sin in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Never scream to someone in the other room. Get up and go to the other room and talk to them. Or text them.
Yeah.
That
go all the way into their room and talk to them, or don't go any direction at all and just text to either full contact or no voice contact at all.
Yes,
pick a side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think yelling to someone in the other room is sociopathic behavior. You can at me. I don't care.
On all the social networks you're not on, hit him up on Letterboxd to roast him for his takes on yelling to your loved ones.
The fundamental broken part of this is, like, you can't have a broken, fucked up family that then is fixed by a broken, fucked up protagonist. Mm-hmm. You have to have, like, the angelic protagonist fixing the broken, fucked up family, or you have the angelic family that has to survive the broken, fucked up protagonist.
Yeah, it's not really clear who's surviving Christmas
the audience
at this point. Yeah, well, yes, we're all hanging on by the skin of our teeth.
Okay, once Ben Affleck is hit on the head and brought inside,
mm-hmm.
He showed very toxic, unhealthy behavior at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
But from here forward, he is playing now a character that is sociopathic. And I realize I just used that word, but he is pathological, and he is playing to Ben Affleck's credit. He is committing fully, and I appreciate that. It's terrible. It is not good, but he's trying something and giving it his all, and I think there's merit in that.
Yeah.
But he is going full on insane, no logic in his mind. You know, there's no rationale to any decision he makes in any scene moving forward.
Yes. Basically, you know, by the time he gets the tour of the house, is overcome with nostalgia, he offers them $250,000 to stay with them. And from that point on, Ben Affleck is basically playing Ryan Reynolds, you know?
I'm glad you said that, because I had a long running list of actors that I thought could actually make this movie work.
This movie, written properly with Ryan Reynolds in the lead role, released in like 2018, maybe could have gone somewhere. the kind of... Because for most of the movie from this point on, he's like this almost impish agent of chaos who oftentimes seems to be delighting in making the family suffer. Like, he's like...
Yes.
He is really smirking and grinning when he's forcing James Gandolfini, per the conditions of the contract they've signed, wear a Santa hat to the supermarket. Or he's like, delighting in pelting the sun with snowballs while he just stands there and takes it. And it's like, this doesn't track with what I thought you were here to do, which was to recreate your Christmas memories.
Right, yes. And this is where, like, okay. This is how I ended up describing the film to myself by the end of it. This is a sequel to Clifford.
Okay, so there was a grown-up version of Clifford, and I think Cirque du Freak, and this is the sequel. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Clifford would ruin these people's lives so much harder than this. Clifford, like, this is the thing. Okay. All of the antics that go on in this movie, and what we've set up now is, like, from this point on, the rest of the movie is kind of just a bunch of different scenes where he's going overboard to try and orchestrate a certain Christmas memory, but it never goes to the kind of towering heights of Clifford.
The thing is, I want to return to Clifford in just a second.
Me too.
The thing is, in Road to Wellville, I said that movie had too many shenanigans.
Yeah.
And you just used the word antics, and I don't think at any point in this film the antics rise to the level of shenanigans.
They don't. This movie should take some shenanigans from Road to Wellville, and add God, you know what this...
That might mean you might get a stray butt in this movie, though.
I mean, you know what? Like, this is a sacrifice that I'm willing to make, especially if it's a Gandolfini butt. If we see James's Gandolfinis, could you imagine? There's this whole thing where it's like, just like my family did, we're gonna, like, light up the Christmas tree with all the lights the way that we used to. Yeah. And he's got they've gone out Christmas tree shopping, they've got a big tree, everyone's mad about it.
Which is weird because, like, one thing that I think I lose the through line on, I mean, it's easy to pick up on, but, like, he's not coded at the beginning of this movie as obscenely rich.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just kind of, like, leading man rich. Like, he needs to be, like, Bruce Wayne obscenely rich at the beginning of this movie to make any of these antics make any sense.
Yes, the fact that he's hired an actor to show up and be his quote-unquote doodah, his grandpa, or that he charters a helicopter to fly them to a mountain to go tobogganing.
Best part of this movie? Grandpa, maybe?
I do like Grandpa a lot in this movie. He is a fun element in a movie with few of them. But, no, I totally agree. Like, at the beginning of the movie, it's like, okay, you've got a big penthouse apartment, you're like, an ad executive. Okay, you're making good money. And then for the rest of the movie, he's acting like somebody who's like a Vanderbilt. Like, he's like Succession family rich in a way that doesn't make sense.
Where I want to return to Clifford and bring in another reference, which is the energy here is Clifford adjacent. I think the way Clifford handles the introduction of his chaos to a life is what is missing here. Like, they handle that very deftly there. You have there's no point in this movie where I'm like, James Gandolfini is so hard up for money that he's not just going to beat the shit out of Ben Affleck and tell him to get out of his life. Mm-hmm. Like, with Charles Grodin, that type of character, in Clifford, like, he's greedy, and I understand why he's keeping Clifford around.
Yeah. Because he wants to get with Mary Steenburgen, the best reason of all. Yeah.
That too, yes. Yeah. The Gandolfini, I never buy, like, his greed or need for the money for keeping Ben Affleck around.
It's just never set up that they're like, they seem to be doing fine. Like, obviously, who wouldn't love $250,000? But it's not like I James Gandolfini, proud tough guy, am so desperate for this money that I have to swallow all of my swagger to tolerate this little ding dong running around my house.
And the other thing too is that, like, with Charles Grodin, with such a I would never criticize James Gandolfini.
Sure.
As a performer.
Sure.
But the baggage that Charles Grodin brings with him as a straight man,
Mm-hmm.
watching him have to put on a Santa cap, I would understand the like wound to his pride of
Mhm.
like, I don't know if I fucking do this, but I'm gonna put this on so that I look, like I'm having a good time with Mary Steenburgen.
Yeah.
I don't understand what James Gandolfini's problem is putting a fucking Santa hat on for $250,000.
Yes, and like also it's like putting a Santa hat on at the holidays. Yeah, dude. Lots of people wear Santa hats around at the holidays. It's like it's like fairly normal thing to do. It's really not that I don't know. Maybe we don't have the same East Coast pride that he does.
But I feel like they're trying to pull in, because like the one time he gets embarrassed by it is when he goes to the deli.
Mhm.
Okay, Truman.
Oh my
Say a
God.
word. Before you say a word. Before you say a word, I want you to just hold on. Huh? Oh, huh?
Hmm?
Gabagool. That's it. We've said it. It's out of there. We're done. We don't have to make the gabagool jokes.
We don't. But also like the Italian cured cold cut in question here is salami, not capicola, commonly referred to as gabagool. So I wouldn't even come up anyway.
I know. But the thing is, I think they're trying to pull in Gandolfini's Sopranos baggage here.
Yes, without question.
And it doesn't work in this scenario. Like, he just seems, especially with the beard, he just looks like a big cuddly guy. And I'm like, I don't think you would mind wearing a Santa hat.
No, he doesn't. It honestly suits him. So this is the thing. There is this early scene, I think, when he and Catherine O'Hara are first sitting there having they're sitting at the breakfast table, and he's talking to her about like, oh, we're almost out of salami. We need to get some more salami. And then later, once Ben Affleck has bought his way into the family, James Gandolfini comes down in the morning and he like looks, and Ben Affleck is eating a bunch of salami, and he's like, Are you eating my salami right now? And he's like, oh yeah, I saw it look real good there in the fridge. I just had to dog some. And we got these slow motion shots of him eating salami. And then yeah, James Gandolfini later, when they're all out shopping, it's just him going to the grocery store and grousing to the butcher about how this guy ate all his salami. And that's the salami arc.
Which is this is the problem, is like, it's such low stakes for $250,000.
Yes. It's such low stakes for the $45 million budget of your movie. It's
Yes.
like, okay, this man has bought his way into your family. There's a lot of like potential stressors and ways that can blow up. And what you're giving us, movie, is James Gandolfini really likes salami and Ben Affleck ate all his salami.
We need to pivot. We need to pivot and talk about Christina Applegate.
We do. I will just say, and I think this is going to point towards my eventual unified theory of this movie. The fact that James Gandolfini's big issue, at least early on, is I really like salami and this guy ate all my salami, is kind of evidence of, in lieu of anything else to hold on to or a plan for what the movie is, it's like, well, Sopranos is on right now. He really likes salami on Sopranos. Maybe we just fall back on that thing that we have that we can work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, Christina Applegate, won't you?
I said this during the Cirque du Freak episode, and I don't feel the exact same way, but the fact that you have this many amazing people in your movie, and this is the product we have, is astonishing to me. Christina Applegate, one of the most underrated people we've ever had in Hollywood, I feel.
Wow. All of Hollywood. Wow. Not just on our show, but like all of Hollywood.
She's done some great things. I don't think we ever really gave her the vehicles that she could have risen to.
Sure.
She's stuck in movies like this and The Rocker.
Look, the thing about her in this movie, she's their adult daughter, comes home for the holidays. Who the fuck is this weird guy in the house? She is just as put off by him as everyone else is. But then, because we're about halfway through the movie, they have a sweet scene together and they fall in love, and then they fall out of love, and then for no reason whatsoever, she comes back, and
it's a love jump scare.
It really is. It is. It doesn't make a lick of sense. But I'm just watching her play through this whole thing. It's like, how many times must we watch Christina Applegate play a cynical smart woman who is inexplicably charmed by a dumbass man-child. I mean, it's this, it's the rocker, it's Anchorman. Like, she's, like, just cursed to constantly be like, you know, you are a total clown, but I'm gonna spend my life with you. Not really sure why.
She brings such a, like, go fuck yourself energy in this that I kind of believe that this could be a family unit. Like, I believe that she could, even though she's only, like, 10 and a half years younger than Gandolfini.
Yeah,
I still can believe that she is the offspring of Gandolfini and Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah.
Because she has such a kind of no room for fools attitude about her that I was hoping, and it seemed half a second promising, of like, oh, she's gonna completely derail Ben Affleck and he's gonna have to, like, contend with her, and there's gonna be this tension to continue the ruse when she's not part of the contract and she doesn't have to play along. That's not what happens, but
and that's, I think that's such a good point, because it's like the way that she is irritated by Ben Affleck is the same as the way that everyone else in the family is irritated by Ben Affleck. And it's another case of the movie just not living up to its basic premise, where it's like, okay, they've all signed paperwork that he'll give them $250,000 if they, like, let him be a part of the family through the holidays. But then in basically every scene after that, they're always just, like, the whole family is just, like, rolling their eyes at him, or not wanting to do stuff with him, or really half-assing it, or James Gandolfini, like, you know, like, taking the hat off and not refusing to wear it. And it's like, well, so no one is, like, even though he's paying them, no one is, like, we're not getting the fun of watching them try to keep a smile on their face while they're simmering and burning about it. So it's like, the fact that she's coming into this not a part of it and is mouthing off to him, it's like, well, everyone else is mouthing off to him too. So, it's the same beat over and over again.
There should be a risk of her ruining it for the rest of the family, or, like, she has to play along for the benefit of her family who needs the money or something. But that's not there. It's not there at all.
What? Hey, I have a question for you. Christina Applegate's character. What's her job? What does she do for a living?
She works in the city. She, I'm gonna say, works in publishing.
That sounds right. She's either an architect or I think, no, works in publishing is the job that women in movies have, and architect is the job that men in movies have. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. Do you think that maybe, like, that she's got some high-powered business job in the big city, and she just broke up with her boyfriend, and she goes home for Christmas, and, like, this is her Hallmark Christmas movie, basically, is her... You know, it's like a weird ad executive for Christmas.
Watching this movie through her perspective would be maybe what this movie needs. It would be a horror film.
It would be an instructional film about why you should check for gas leaks in your house. That's the only reason that I can see her deciding to fall in love with Ben Affleck. They go... Like,
there's a moment. I want to call this moment out for a minute.
Sure.
So there is a moment of vulnerability where he's kind of, like, worked. I think it's while they're sledding with her brother, and
he's chartered the helicopter to take them up a mountain, one of those mountains that they have in Illinois, to go sledding, and they crash.
At one point, she has a moment of vulnerability with him and expresses, because he's like, "Don't you?" She asks, "Why are you doing this?" And he says, "Didn't you ever have a childhood memory that you just wish you could, you know, step back into, et cetera, et cetera?" And she was like, "Oh, well, that sounds kind of sweet. Yeah, I did have this moment." And she explains it to him. And then a few scenes later, he says, "I got a surprise for you." And he takes her out into basically what she described as her memory. This tree that was all covered in ice. It was picturesque. It was... a moment of solitude for her, and a moment of connection to nature and beauty in the world.
She pretended she was a princess and that was her crystal palace when she looked at it.
Yeah. So he then brings her to this tree that he has been able to encapsulate in ice, and it really captures that ice princess vibe, but then, he like does a dog whistle, and then a horse and carriage brings on a nativity set of, actors acting out the nativity scene. There's a couple of little people dressed up as elves and dancing around, and it really just kind of tarting up the memory, and she gets very offended by this.
Yes.
Then, at the end of that scene, where she's like, this is all you... this is the movie now, breakneck whiplashing into rich man doesn't understand the nuance of, nostalgia, whatever, feeling, emotion, etc.
Yeah.
And her kind of going, you just ruined a childhood memory of mine, a precious thing that I've never told anyone else, just because you thought you could buy it.
Yeah.
And she basically tells him to go fuck himself. The next scene, at the most inconvenient moment for him, as far as his plot mechanics go, she busts into the kitchen saying, you know what, I rethought that moment, and I think I'm in love with you, and then kisses him.
How many?
And it's like, where the fuck did that come from?
How many times must we watch Christina Applegate kiss a man who is stammering and trying to explain something in order to shut him up? Yes.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, she's had this very logical reaction to him taking her memory and turning it into a very overblown thing, like kind of a learning character moment for him, that like you can't cheapen these things by trying to recreate them or plus them up or make the perfect idealized version of it. But then
he learns nothing.
He learns nothing, and because then when the movie needs her to be like, oh, actually, no, we need her to be a viable romantic prospect, so now we can have his ex-girlfriend come back and him try to juggle them. Yeah, it's just like, I guess she left the house, went on a drive, decided that she didn't believe any of the things she'd said to him in the park, and comes back. It is whiplash inducing. It's audacious, is what it is. Also, the movie just being like, hey, that stuff we were saying before? Don't worry about it. No, we're doing a new thing. They're good now. Yada, yada, yada. She loves him again. You knew we were going to get here.
This movie could benefit... This is the other reference that I was going to make earlier of Beyond Clifford. This movie needs...
That's the sequel to Clifford. Clifford 2 Beyond Clifford.
This movie needs to be more like Dumb and Dumber.
Mm-hmm. In what way?
It needs to have a kind of fantasy world.
Yeah.
A fantasy world logic.
Yeah.
For any of these jokes or situations to work.
Yeah.
And it's trying to insert this cartoon character into real world, logistics, and it doesn't work on any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Like, Ben Affleck's manic view of the world has to be coming from a world that can support a cartoon character.
Yes.
He is a cartoon character, 1/3 of the way into this movie, and there's been no foundation for anyone just to go, or whispering to the person next to them going, I think we gotta call the cops.
Mm-hmm.
I think this dude's dangerous.
Yes. And also because he's a cartoon character when you look at sort of the broader logic of what he's trying to do, and like the way he's like, who's this old man in our house? Oh, that's Doodah. He's a community theater actor who I've hired to play my Doodah, which is my grandpa, a name that everyone uses for their grandpa. And it's like, and him just expecting all of them to find this normal and go along with it. But he's not being enough of a cartoon for the contrast to be super apparent. I think of other movies where a cartoonish figure comes into some normal people's lives, such as Paddington or like the Pee Wee Herman movies, where it's like, okay, these are kind of like straight-laced people, and then there's this really wild chaos agent who shows up and changes their lives. He's not like enough over the top. He's just kind of weird and kind of an asshole in an annoying way, and that's not cartoonish enough to be fun.
Here are some actors,
okay,
that I think could actually pull this off.
Okay.
I'm gonna just run down the list. You already said Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And I've alluded to Jim Carrey, like mid-90s Jim Carrey.
Sure.
If this was like a cable guy dark comedy and Jim Carrey was playing that vibe.
Yeah.
At peak popularity, Paul Rudd.
Sure, yeah, I could see that. I can see him pulling that off in a major way.
Maybe the strongest candidate, but not my favorite, Jack Black.
Yeah.
I would love to see, and this is my pick, and I think it's a little offbeat, Steve Zahn.
Oh, I'd like
as
to see
kind of a weird, squirrely, animalistic rich man.
Like he's like I don't know. He either got the money through like he invented some obscure tech product, or he's like the one weird guy on the team that invented something, and he has an ownership stake.
He owns all of the porn sites that the son is looking at.
See, that's a great idea. That's really good. Any of those would be great. I think a big problem with this movie, or at least for me, is that I inherently don't like Ben Affleck that much, and I like all of these other actors.
He's a bizarre actor, isn't he?
He's just he's a bizarre actor. I guess I just don't know how to react to him. Like, I like Good Will Hunting a lot. I've liked him in things, but it's like, I think I find him so off-putting as a person. Because I
don't know. I oscillate on him often. Of the people in Hollywood, of the, like, big Hollywood stars, he strikes me as one of, like, the most real people. Now, I'm not saying he's down to earth.
No.
What I mean by that is, like, from day to day, from exposure to exposure, I'm like, hey, you seem pretty cool. Like, oh yeah, I could hang with you. Let's grab some Starbucks and be depressed together. Or like, oh man, you are fucking obnoxious today. Like, he feels like a coworker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, every time you walk by my cubicle, depending on how you're doing that day, or depending on how I'm doing that day, I'm gonna feel differently about you.
I think he just yeah, I agree. He just seems like the coworker who I'm kind of just like, fucking guy. Like, oh man, what? Oh, glad you're in a good mood today, sir. It's like, oh Ben, you're in a bad mood. Being married to J-Lo got you down. That must be tough. Yeah. Okay. So I think we should touch on just kind of where this movie goes, and then I want to talk about why this movie is. Does that work for you?
Why this movie is. Okay, yeah.
So he's with them. He tries to engage in their Christmas. He tries to, make this magical Christmas. He has the grandpa come in and everything. At some point, he learns that, from James Gandolfini that, he and Catherine O'Hara are going to split up after the holidays. He tries to fix their marriage. Part of the way he does that is by paying for Catherine O'Hara to go do this sexy photo shoot so she can, like, feel sexy again and reinvigorate their marriage. Then pictures from this sexy photo shoot wind up showing up on a middle-aged porn site that, the son is upstairs looking at porn, and then the community theater actor, old man, grandpa, comes up with him and catches him looking at porn, and they start looking at porn together, and then they find a picture of Catherine O'Hara, seemingly with her legs just spread wide, full on, just full facial vagina, that their son is staring at catatonic for like 45 minutes while other scenes play out downstairs. As this is going on, Ben Affleck's ex-girlfriend and her family show up at the house because she thinks that this is his real family and they're going to get back together, and there's this kind of half-assed Frasier episode for the last half hour where they're all trying to pretend to be his family.
Yeah.
And it all falls apart when the son comes out, or when the family goes upstairs and they see the son looking at the nude image of his mom on the computer, and it's so that everybody goes home and everyone's mad at each other, and then they all get back together at the end for no reason. Whatever. Did I cover that appropriately?
Sure. Yeah, I don't think anyone even gives a shit, including myself.
I think that this is part of the mean-spiritedness of the movie and the grossness of the movie is the way this whole porn thing plays out. That it's his. Yeah. It's this naked picture of his mom that he's he's staring at for a very, very long time. And then, like, everyone comes up and sees it, and the way the whole thing is set up, and it is very mean-spirited and crude in every aspect of how this is set up and presented to us. And it's just like this movie has earned no goodwill, and that this is kind of the big turning point, is something the movie is like not dark enough for this to be the kind of joke that we get to, you know?
You know who needed to direct this movie? Danny DeVito.
You know what, Landon? You're right again. Danny DeVito would squish this movie. It would be great. He'd be in it playing the therapist. I don't know. Yeah, but so okay, is there anything I'm really glossing over in terms of plot or stuff we need to pull out here that like?
Well, yeah, I mean the only romantic resolution we get is like through some plot contrivance. Jennifer Morrison, the girl he broke up with at the beginning, her and her parents show up at Gandolfini's house to, like, as you said, you went through the whole thing, and by the end of it. They are so put off by the fact that she has seen him kiss Christina Applegate, and it inserts this kind of incesty vibe.
They think that Applegate is his sister. That's what they've been telling them per the Frasier ruse that they've been doing.
And then after the porn thing happens, it kind of is supposed to be this, like, Ben Affleck destroys everything he touches because even... I mean, he then has a second breakup with Jennifer Morrison. Mm-hmm. Jennifer Morrison's parents seem like they're now on a verge of a divorce.
Yeah.
Old, wounds start coming to the surface for them. James Gandolfini and Catherine O'Hara are, like, solidified in their divorce, decision now. So,
because...
that's the point where we're at. It's just, like, everything has fractured that has, touched Ben Affleck.
It also really doesn't necessarily make sense why this is the breaking point for James Gandolfini, because it's like...
Agreed.
Okay, so there was, like, this sexy picture that his wife took, but, like, why is that what's making... I'm going to go stay at the Travel Lodge. Why? Like, that's an embarrassing and weird and gross moment to happen, but, like, that's not like she was cheating on you. In fact, she was doing that to try and reinvigorate your love life.
Right.
So, this movie... nothing in it works. Everything feels like it was just roughly assembled.
That's correct.
And this is because it had a very dysfunctional production process. That's right. I don't know. And I want to try and, like, get a little bit into that to try and explain, I think, why the movie turned out the way that it did.
I have a little bit of information, but I suspect you have the same stuff.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know. We'll go through it together. We'll see what we find. So, as we've discussed, this movie it did not have a completed script when it went into, or when they were shooting it. And
4 writers, not a completed script.
I know, it's amazing to have that many writers and you can't complete a script. But so what? Like,
I have a quote here.
Yeah,
just to give you a sense. From a crew member that just said, quote, "We never knew what the hell we were shooting day to day."
Oh, damn. I did not find that in my research, but that sounds that sounds like what I kind of am assuming has happened here. So I have a quote from James Gandolfini talking about the movie in a promotional interview with the Spokane Spokesman Review, and he's talking about how he got attached to it, and he said, "Ben called me and said, 'Do this.' The original script was very good, and then they started to change things, and it got a little iffy. Then, when we got together, we kind of improvised and got it back to the original script." I don't think I necessarily agree with the second part. I think Gandolfini was putting on the charm for the reporter from Central Washington, but the original script was very good, and then they started to change things. Mm-hmm. I think that what happened here is that, well, like, the premise, just the basic concept of this movie, like a rich man pays a normal family a huge amount of money to try and recreate a Christmas or create altogether a like Christmas memory that he never had. I think that's a really funny and interesting idea. I think that concept could warrant a really funny movie. I think there's a lot that could come out of that. I imagine that whatever the original script was that Academy Award-winning screenwriter Ben Affleck read and said, "I want to do this, I want to attach myself to this," I imagine that script was probably pretty funny. I imagine that then he gave it to James Gandolfini, who is working on The Sopranos, the best-written show of all time, also knows what good writing is, looked at it, signed on.
Does he? Well, hold on. Let's just
Okay.
earmark and flag that James Gandolfini's favorite movie was The Rocker.
Okay,
So,
now
do we know that he knows what good writing is?
God damn it, Landon, when you're right, you're right. A third time. That's what Christmas is all about, is acknowledging that you are right. Okay, but just, I think the original script probably was a lot better than this. And then the studio started making changes to it because, as he said here. And then I also...
my vibe of this script is that this was an R-rated script.
Yes.
That ended up being, like, studio wanted it a PG-13 for a wider holiday release.
Yeah.
And the tension you feel and the grossness you feel in this is, like, all of the characters have internalized everything that made it rated R.
Yeah.
And so you still have R-rated vibes coming out in a PG-13 cartoony, like a light PG-13. There's barely any swearing in this movie.
Yes. This movie has less swearing in it than Cirque de Freak, the vampire's assistant. So,
you know what? I think that is true.
oh, yeah, no, it absolutely is. They don't say shit all the time in this. Yeah, I completely agree. I think the original script for this was probably pretty dark and, like, just it was about kind of more heavier stuff and was probably a darker comedy that they tried to lighten. So I read in the New York Post that they started shooting this. Okay, by the way, generally any anecdote that starts with "I read in the New York Post," don't take it seriously. Bad newspaper, because this is entertainment reporting. It's different. They started shooting in Chicago in 2002, late 2002.
Yes.
But then, I guess, all these script changes came in that the studio had ordered. This didn't sit well with James Gandolfini, and he reportedly refused to leave his trailer for an entire day unless they reworked the script. And so then, basically what happened was they suspended production. They sent everybody home. They were like, okay, this is going to be expensive, but we're going to take the holidays, basically, and rewrite the script, because they resumed shooting in the spring of 2003. So it seems like what the production company said was, we're just going to take a break. We'll write up a new script that we, the executives, can agree on. The cast, Gandolfini, can agree on, and everything, and that'll be that. And then they came back and they started shooting this movie. And as we all know, when they started shooting in 2003, they didn't have a completed script. I think what happened was basically during this hiatus period over the holidays, they brought in these extra writers and were like, come up with some new ideas, get us some new drafts, and they were never able to come up with a script that satisfied what the studio wanted and what James Gandolfini and company wanted. But then they ran out of time, and it's like, well, we need to start shooting again in spring to accommodate everyone's schedules, or else we're going to lose Ben Affleck, we're going to lose Gandolfini.
Yeah, back to TV, yeah.
And so it seemed, I think, my guess is that what happened was just like, we have to shoot something, what are scenes we all agree on that we like, and we'll start shooting some of the scenes and then keep trying to work up a script, and then as they shot stuff, they're locking story beats in place that cannot be edited later, and then they just wound up in this situation where it's like, we're improvising now, we're writing scenes on the day, because we never were able to get a script together that people liked.
Yeah, so I have... I wouldn't say conflicting information, but
okay.
I mean, I think that sounds very apt. And just to kind of give Gandolfini the benefit of the doubt, my guess is the changes that were coming in either, were conflicting to the contract that he signed or just didn't make sense. And so for the integrity of the project was like, figure your shit out. I'll be in my trailer when you need me.
I completely agree with you. I hope nothing that I said sounded that I was down on Gandolfini. If you're ever going to be a diva and not come out of your trailer, do it to protect the integrity of the script. I am a writer. That is my belief.
The somewhat conflicting information I have is that this film began at Columbia Pictures in 2001 with Ben Affleck before moving to DreamWorks. Now, I'm not saying mine is correct, but what I have is...
Mine's from the New York Post.
Mine is completed production in early 2003.
Oh.
And it was shelved because it was initially slated to be released alongside Ben Affleck's other movie, Paycheck.
Ah.
Do you smell the machine grease around that one?
I do. I remember there was a movie called Paycheck, and that's about all I know. Was it issued by the accountant?
The reason they did that was because they felt this movie wasn't tracking well. Now, I don't know if that meant with test audiences, with just how the production went, the dailies they were seeing. I don't know what wasn't tracking well meant in this particular case.
Yeah.
So they delayed the release of this by almost a year.
I mean, I think that I think it was just partially, you look at this movie, you know it's not good. I mean, if you're an executive, you know what a marketable movie is versus a movie that's like, there's no here.
There's barely anything in this to put a trailer together.
There's not enough big hijinks in it to really, like, I'm fascinated for next week to see how they tried to promote this.
That's why they put in, I think, some like out of nowhere pratfalls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he tries to, at one point, like one morning he gets up and he tries to slide down the banister, supposedly like in the old days, and instead the banister breaks under him and he falls off onto the floor.
Yes.
Or like, the scene where they go tobogganing down a mountain and they crash, and it's just like, well, that's in the movie. That's some action you can show. I think that another factor in this also is that that Ben Affleck's bankability as a star during this period was definitely kind of wavering. Like his tabloid relationship with J-Lo was kind of like blowing up in everybody's in his face specifically. Like Gigli had come out and people were kind of sick of them. Like the public was sort of just turning on Benifer as a concept, and so there was like almost a little overexposure going on.
Yeah, Gigli was in 2003, so the year before this. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. He right before this, and I think this kind of had a turn too, is he had not a reputation, but like he worked with Kevin Smith a lot. And the year right before this, he did Jersey Girl.
Yes.
And it was just to kind of the counterpoint to your thing about how wobbly his career was like that kind of put him back in a like, oh, maybe he can return to like an indie leading man sort of thing, because that movie was semi well regarded.
Not by the people on the V Bulletin message boards I was on, who were all hoping for another Clerks, and instead were like, what's this heartwarming bullshit? Jay and Silent Bob aren't in it. I
think critically, people were comparing it to Chasing Amy, like it's that mode. At least Kevin Smith isn't doing Clerks 3, which we end up having Clerks 3 all these years later.
And we love it.
Like he was coming off of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and like it was just kind of a return to form, I think, for them. And yeah, coming into this, I think people don't know what to expect from Ben Affleck anymore. Is he an action star? Is he a romantic star? He wants to do this movie, I heard in one of my other pieces of research, because he wanted to do a big, broad comedy.
Yeah. Him talking about it in some of the junket interviews I watched, though, you can see in the way he's talking about it, like, yeah, I wanted to launch a comedy career, and it sure didn't work out with this movie, but maybe the next one.
It kind of like, I keep trying to think of versions of this movie that would work. And if you took another one that has just machine stank on it, the Bryan Cranston, James Franco movie, Why Him?
Sure, yeah.
And you cast Ben Affleck as his Saturday Night Live, wicked character, his like big Boston, energy character in this to like an affluent family. You don't, you kind of reverse it. Like it has better dynamics to it. I don't know why I keep trying to fix the movie. The movie is what it is.
There's a lot of ways this movie could have worked. There is so many ways this story could be told in a fun, interesting way. There's so many ways this cast could make, and that's why I don't put any of this on the director or the writers or anything. Ultimately, the writers were all trying to service notes from the executives that were making the script worse, and
Yeah.
we're trying to like find a happy medium between that and what the creatives wanted. And then
It
at
is-
some point they're trying to also stitch together a story when like a bunch of scenes have already been
Yeah.
shot.
It is a domino effect that, yeah, it is hard to put it at the feet of any one person. At the same time, there are scenes that, like, could work better with slightly better direction and slightly better editing pacing. You know,
Mhm.
like, just the how a number of shots are constructed together to tell a joke are so sluggish
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that it becomes not funny purely just through the editing.
Sure. I agree. I think part of the sluggishness might have been them being like, we need to get the runtime up.
Fair.
We
That's-
cannot release
that's fair.
an 81-minute movie. This needs to be 91 minutes.
Do you think there are deleted scenes on this DVD?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I would hate to see the scenes they cut out of this film. I think that again, this fact that it's like there's not really a script locked in, it's like why these scenes play out in such a like kind of listless way is that so many of these scenes are just variations on the most basic premise of the script, which is that this rich guy is paying these people to pretend to be his family and they're annoyed by him. So every scene is kind of just like, okay, we're all going Christmas shopping together and Ben Affleck is capering around following us and we're rolling our eyes at it. Or it's like, you know, James Gandolfini chases him out of frame because he's mad at him and dumps a bunch of snow on him. And, you know, like, it's just, there's never any, like, there was never the time, they never had the time or could agree on a version of the script where it's like they go deeper on who these characters are and how they're dealing with this situation. So instead we just get this endless repeat of like, yeah, he's being mildly annoying to us right now. That's what the movie's about. So here it is happening.
Yeah. Now, just to kind of highlight where it fails on even a thematic level, like, once you get the fallout of that big farcical scene that we talked about, there's a kind of like final beat before we go into the epilogue of Christina Applegate talking to Ben Affleck. And it's kind of a heartfelt moment where he's, you know, admitting his faults, essentially. Like, everything, you know, everyone leaves me. I don't know why.
I had to eat pancakes every Christmas. It was the worst thing in the world, yeah.
Absolutely. And, like, just by the sheer plot, you know, like, recognizable, heartfelt moment, I'm like, oh, this movie has a sweet spot. But then she goes, you literally ruined my family. And he pivots from that sweet, like, telling her what happened to him to denying it and saying, well, you know, your parents were actually going to get divorced anyway, so...
Psychotic. A thing she didn't know. It's like, they told me they were going to get divorced. You didn't know it yet. You just think your family's good.
Absolutely psychopathic behavior in that moment. And, I mean, listen, I'm not super up on the, like, let's fan theory this movie so we have a justification for why it is the way it is, the characters are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking from a production level. I'm just like, in text universe, how do we make this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, for this movie, I'm like, there was a moment early on with the shovel where I wrote the note, okay, this is clearly setting up a Jacob's Ladder scenario where he dies or he's in a coma and this whole thing plays out in his head and he wakes up in a dream or whatever. But then by the end of it, I'm like, can we actually do that? So that any of this makes sense? Because what we're left with is just a psychopath character. Like, by the time we get to the epilogue, time has passed. James Gandolfini shows up at your door asking for money. You never want that to happen. You never want to owe James Gandolfini money.
He's left the house and he's sitting alone watching, you know, A Christmas Carol on TV, and knock at the door. It's James Gandolfini. It's like, oh, why are you here? And he's like, you owe me money.
Another reason he's kind of psychopathic is he's not watching any Christmas Carol. He's watching the Mr. Magoo Christmas Carol.
Yeah. You know
the weirdest fucking choice.
The weirdest choice, but perhaps the cheapest to license the footage, perhaps?
Possibly. Possibly.
Yes.
But so when James Gandolfini comes in, he kind of looks around and is like, "Oh yeah, you do well for yourself." Do.
That's what Christmas is about.
They pass by one wall, and there's just a bunch of CDs there. He's like 500 CDs, kind of surrounding an aquarium that has no water in it. And I thought to myself, what kind of music do you like, Ben Affleck? And then I answered myself to say, no, this is a psychotic character who went into a CD store one day with oodles of money and says, I have a wall where I need to put CDs. Give me your 500 most popular CDs, bought those CDs, put them on the wall, and has never listened to a single one of them.
So what you're saying is that a psycho wouldn't have strong opinions about music. A psycho living in America wouldn't like a certain band, like maybe Huey Lewis and the News, wouldn't like have a lot of thoughts.
Psycho.
This particular You're right.
Don't generalize psychos, Truman.
No,
not every psycho is the same. You can't blanket statement psychos.
Yeah, psychos are not a monolith. I would never denigrate the psycho community on this podcast because I don't want to be murdered. Yes, he does have this very empty home. Like, also most of his it's like couch, TV, wall of CDs, empty aquarium, and like nothing. Yeah. Like just like hardwood floors and nothing.
We don't see the other side of the apartment or the penthouse because I'm pretty sure that's where Justin Long is living, and he's just not that into you.
Look, Justin Long at least had a credenza with like a picture of black and white picture of a rowboat on it. Like those bros cruising the streets for chicks. Those pickup artists had a much more tastefully furnished home than multimillionaire Ben Affleck. Do we want to touch briefly? Speaking of psychos, do you want to at least touch briefly on the way that this movie intersects with Christmas with the Cranks? Or do
sure.
we want to do it next week? I don't know.
No, we can round it out with just watching the awful aftertaste of this movie out with just another shitty aftertaste. You're drinking in the morning to cure your hangover. I feel
yes,
like.
hair of the Cranks that bit us. The movie Christmas with the Cranks, which we covered on our previous podcast, is based on a John Grisham novel, hilariously, called Skipping Christmas. And it's all about a family who decides, instead of doing Christmas now that their daughter has moved away, they're going to go on a vacation cruise instead. And just the entire movie is about everyone in their neighborhood, all of their neighbors, being furious at them that they've decided to not do Christmas. And then ultimately them deciding, yeah, it's insane that we chose to do our own thing. We have to celebrate Christmas.
A young Dan Aykroyd in this movie as Ben Affleck also would work for me.
Okay, Trading Places level Croyd?
I guess I'm thinking more Neighbors Croyd, but that's such an obscure movie that I feel weird mentioning it.
I can really hear like Dan Aykroyd's voice coming and being like, well, I didn't have a sister, but you'll be the maid. That's fine.
Yes.
But anyway, like so that movie was coming out basically at the same time. There was actually litigation between the studio releasing Christmas with the Cranks and DreamWorks, who was releasing Surviving Christmas. Christmas with the Cranks was originally named after the John Grisham novel. It was called Skipping Christmas, but per the lawsuit, they changed the name of it to Christmas with the Cranks so as to not get it confused with this one. And then this is also part of the reason that the release date on this movie got pushed up to pre-Halloween, was so it wouldn't be in direct competition with the Cranks. And I just think that's beautiful synchronicity that these two god-awful shitty Christmas movies almost came out at the exact same time, and that there was like this like power struggle between their studios to ensure that neither shitty Christmas movie competed too hard with the other shitty Christmas movie, and that they're both nominally about the stresses of the holiday season and trying to cope and avoid them.
That's where I go, where I'm like, I don't see that as a coincidence. That makes me go, what the fuck was happening in 2004 that we had that view of Christmas?
I don't know. Yeah, like everyone was on your side then, and now we've gone astray from the Landen way of life.
4 years of the W presidency, and we're just like, you know what? Fuck families.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know what? I can't stomach another 4 years of this. I need to drink all the way through the holidays to face down another term. Thank you for making it about George W. Bush. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, okay. Is there anything else we didn't cover from this? I mean, I kind of want to. We didn't get to talk about Duda as much as I wanted to in this. The epilogue, since he was a community actor, community theater actor, the whole thing kind of ends with all of them going to a Christmas Carol stage production where he's playing Scrooge, and in another movie, that's sweet.
Yes. It's so wild to me because like when he's first introduced and it's like, oh, this is a community theater actor I've hired to play Duda, and he's handing out tickets. It's like, yeah, and I'll be playing Scrooge in a production of A Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve. You should all come. And then after everything has fallen apart, James Gandolfini and Ben Affleck realize, oh, we've both still got our tickets to Duda's show. Maybe we should go to it, and maybe the whole rest of the family will be there, and we can reunite everybody and get back together. And inexplicably, everyone is there. Like, all these people who did not know this guy, he was just, like, a part of their life for a few days in a really stressful time that none of them want to remember, and they all just showed up to support his community theater production seemingly on Christmas Eve. I don't know. I don't support my friends who are in live productions that much, and those are people I really care about and have known for years.
This was just a side thought as you were talking. I wish I could have seen James Gandolfini as Scrooge.
Oh, he'd be great in that. Yeah. I was thinking, as I often do, about how James Gandolfini was in a production of God of Carnage on Broadway.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
It was after one of those shows that he met Rainn Wilson and told him how much he liked the rocker. I would really love to see him on stage in that.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen him on stage in anything.
I think
for Godot.
Pirates
of Penzance.
Yeah.
Doubt.
Sure, playing the nun. He could pull it off. Fences? Why not? I can think of a reason why not. I would like to see him in anything where he can play against his accent. Like seeing him in Christmas Carol, it would be like, is he going to do a British accent? Is he just going to really tone down the New Jersey? Like I love it whenever he's not playing a super swaggering tough guy.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, this is our first Christmas episode of Movie Memory Machine.
And it seems to have bummed you out as much as the actual Christmas holiday does.
All right, let me ask you just one final question.
Yeah.
As we wrap this up. How many Christmas days are in this movie?
I think like 4 or 5.
I got so confused about the timeline because I thought he arrived on Christmas Eve, but then like the next day I was like, oh, it's Christmas Day, but then it wasn't, and then the next day I'm like, oh, it's Christmas Day, and then it wasn't, and then the next day I'm like, oh, it's Christmas Day, and it wasn't.
Like at some point I'm like, it's Christmas Eve, and then in the next scene it's daytime and we see the son getting off the school bus and walking up to the house. So it's like, wait, so school isn't even out for Christmas break yet? Is it like December 18th? How long is he going to be here?
And then we go into the epilogue after the whole farce, and I'm like, oh, it's after Christmas and we don't have... And then he's watching A Christmas Carol on TV. I'm like, why are you torturing yourself with Christmas? And then he looks out the window and he sees everyone having a Christmas day. I'm like, when is Christmas in this movie?
It's like the family, like his ex-girlfriend's family shows up at the house in the middle of their Christmas Eve because they've got the ham in the oven and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, this is Christmas Eve. Everything blows up and everyone splits up and he goes home, and then we see, it fades to him at home, and I'm thinking this has to be days later, but no, it seems like it's just like 3 hours later. James Gandolfini shows up at his door being like, you need to write me the check for the money.
That I didn't even put that together to this very moment, and that is wild to me because they have like I've forgiven you energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When they like and James Gandolfini and Catherine O'Hara kind of like reconcile when they go to the play in a few hours. So like there hasn't even been a full 24-hour cycle of being mad at each other for them to reconcile divorce.
My entire life has just blown up. All of my family has seen a picture of me in a very compromising position. My husband has left me. What am I going to do? Oh, well, I do have a ticket to this community theater production tonight starring this guy I barely know. I guess I'll go to it. I guess that's how I'm going to get better.
This movie is messy.
It is, yeah. It's like, I like the...
And Truman.
Yes.
When Gandolfini and Ben Affleck come in, they're looking for seats. And
oh my God.
They're talking. They talk to Catherine O'Hara. Ben Affleck is trying to set up the son with the girl next to him. How much poor theater etiquette do we have to see this season?
They truly. My note was that they went to the Wicker Park School of Theater Etiquette. It's just like, it's like all these people. It's like at first I'm touched that they all showed up for Doodah's theater production.
Yes.
But then they're fucking ruining it. They're talking the whole way through it. It's like everyone else was paying attention, and then Gandolfini and Affleck come in and shit on the whole thing. Oh, God.
It's the third movie this season where there's just been very egregious theater attendee behavior.
Just really, really bad stuff. This is why we can never do a live show, because we will be so critical of the way the audience is behaving. The other reason we can't do a live show is because we do not have a particularly large or geographically concentrated fan base. Yet. But listen, any new fans listening to this episode, if we do a live show, you better be on your best behavior in the audience. Do not come in and start talking to your friend about something plot significant. We will grind the show to a halt to punish you.
We have a time machine. Let's just go to the future when we have that, and then we'll be able to see what our live theater show is like.
Yeah, basically the ghost of live show future. We go to our future live show and we're like dead or something, and we learn that we have to go back in time and stop podcasting. That's our Scrooge moment.
Well, speaking of stopping podcasting, let's wrap this episode up.
Nice.
Why do you think this movie was forgotten?
This movie was forgotten because it came out in October when no one wanted to see a Christmas movie, and the studio didn't really put the juice into... Well, I mean, no, it's not even about the promotional strategy or the early video release. It came out in October. It's not a good movie. There's nothing memorable really in the movie.
Yeah.
Like all of the scenes... None of the scenes escalate to a certain level of hijinks or comedy enough to be memorable, so it just... It slides away because it turns out it's a really good idea to have finished the script before you start filming the script.
James Gunn is notoriously pro that.
Yeah, well, and it's weird. It's like he's made a bunch of really good movies lately. What? Weird. Why do you think it was forgotten?
This isn't why I thought it was forgotten, but I didn't bring up my second Peacemaker note, which is Ben Affleck almost has vigilante energy in this, and if that type of character was here, it would make a bit more sense. Who is an actual psychopath?
Yeah. So, like, if that type of character was here, you mean a guy in a full body suit who's obsessed with killing and is also obsessed with Peacemaker?
Like, he needs to be a full-grown man trying to be like a Christmas superhero.
Yeah. Okay.
That level of dementedness needs to be here, and it's not.
I'm really glad that I entered the word demented into the conversation early on, because it has sort of set the tone for the entire episode.
Why was this forgotten?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I'll just reflect exactly what you said. This is, if you take nothing else away from this episode, it's this. If you're not going to watch the movie,
don't.
The experience of watching this is like watching an excruciatingly bad SNL sketch where it might be 5 minutes, but it feels like 20.
Yeah.
It's just, it's unfunny. people they're like stuck in the scene and they can't get out of it until it's run its course. And that's what this feels like to me. And no one remembers those bad sketches, the long, boring ones.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie is. It's just, it's kind of like, I think if this movie had the reputation I thought it did going into it, where it was like just ugly and gross and like, sure, you've won me over for the mean-spirited conversation, but
yeah,
I don't think it's like bad Santa energy.
No.
That doesn't work. Like,
no.
That's kind of what I was expecting.
I think the porn stuff is like trying to go a little bad Santa with it in an unearned way, but yeah, I'll grant you that. Yeah.
So even if it had that reputation and was still bad, it would be memorable. But because it's PG-13 and it doesn't go that hard on anything, it just falls into the uncanny. It disappears into, the recesses of your mind.
Yeah. I'll give you that. I look forward to this thing disappearing into the recesses of my mind. I think Cranks, which we both have said is kind of a more dark, more gross and offensive movie, that one has stuck with me to some degree. Like, I still will take time out of my day from time to time to like reflect on how bad that was, and I don't know that that's going to happen with this one.
It's a good kind of, I think, gauge here for me.
The Crank scale.
The Crank scale, where that movie is just terrible on that movie's deplorable.
It's sick.
And this movie is not good. I would much rather put on Surviving Christmas again than I would ever want to put on Christmas with the Cranks.
Yeah, Christmas with the Cranks is really like offensive on a lot of like deeper levels. Like it's really gruesome. And yeah, this movie is just, I can look at this movie and think about the fucked up production process that resulted in this weird little turd of a thing and kind of laugh at that. And Cranks, there's no laughing. Now you want to see a real Christmas movie? A Dog for Christmas. Folks, if you can find it on a streaming service, that's a film. That's cinema.
So, should we send this back to modern memory or leave it forgotten? Truman, why do you want to send this back?
Because I really think that the message of an old man looking at porn with a teenage boy he recently met is good, and it's something we should have more of. No, forget. Hard forget. I think we owe it to James Gandolfini's memory to not remember this really shithouse movie he was in.
Yeah. Is this the worst movie he was ever in? Maybe.
We got to watch a bunch more James Gandolfini movies to find out, and I look forward to that process. True.
Yeah. As do I. Of course, leave this forgotten.
Yep.
And hopefully you don't forget to come back next week when we tie up some loose ends of Surviving Christmas. You can survive one more episode, and then we'll be onto a new movie. So join us next week for the mini transmission. For Truman Caps, I've been Landon Solano. Don't laugh at my segues.
It was just a rush of segues. Man, it was so many gifts. It was like 8 crazy nights. And for Landon Solano, I've been Truman Caps. Merry Christmas, everybody. Don't get run over by a reindeer.
Movie Memory Machine is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/gruntworkpod to keep the machine running. Theme song by Porky's Groove Machine. Rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. For more information on today's show, visit MovieMemoryMachine.com.